Hello and welcome to Elite vs. Freedom, an indie third-person shooter that has some things to say about politics, but we're just going to play the game and talk about that later. So, we're going to be using two guns throughout this playthrough. We're going to be using the sniper rifle, because it has an absurdly good auto-aim, making it the best gun in the game, hands down. I don't know whose brilliant idea it was to give the sniper rifle auto-aim, but they did. And because it has auto-aim, there's no reason to use anything else. But in spite of that, we are going to be using another gun, that one being the autocannon. But we're not actually going to use the autocannon, we're just going to use its alternate fire. It's this electrical purple beam it has. And that electrical purple beam can hit enemies through walls. So basically, we can abuse any choke point very heavily using the autocannon and its purple electrical beam. Right now we're doing a stealth segment, though. We're going to sneak up on this robot tank because it has a patrol, and we're just going to shoot it in the ass. See, it's already dead. Now, I know what you might be saying. Wait, this is going way too fast for me. I need a little bit more, exposure here. What's happening? Not in the story, but what's happening in the gameplay right now? What's going on? Well, don't worry. We have plenty of time to talk about that. This is a very slow game, if you play it wrong like I'm doing. So, in this game, there's no way to die. Well, I mean, you die, but you respawn, and the enemies you kill don't respawn. So, victory is assured, basically. There's no challenge to the game whatsoever. So, I decided to make my own challenge. We're doing a no-death run of this game. At least until I do die. And then I'm just going to play the game mindlessly like you should play it. But until I die, we're going to be doing a no-death run of Elite vs. Freedom. Because that's the only way I could think of to make the game challenging, and I think it's hilarious how broken the design is. I mean, we're going to pull out our autocannon and its electrical beam here, so I can show you how the electrical beam is broken. It can attack enemies through walls, so we can use it to abuse any choke point in the game. Any choke point in the game, we can just stand there and use this purple electrical beam. The enemies will line up and die right alongside it. It's just, the game is a real mess. It was intended primarily for multiplayer, but the multiplayer was dead as soon as the game came out, alright? Anyway, we completed our current objective, which was to protect that guy in the wheelchair back there. Not a very difficult objective, but that can be said about most things in the game. So now that we protected that guy in the wheelchair, a bunch of new enemies are going to spawn. They spawn in waves. But as I said, any enemies you kill, they stay dead. So even if you die and have to respawn, any enemies you killed before you die, they're gone. They're not coming back. So this game is the most mindless of mindless shooters. The only way it could be more mindless is if you didn't die at all. Which frankly is probably what they should have done. They should have just made the player character invincible. Because when your victory is entirely assured like this ahead of time, really there's no reason not to make the character invincible when the design is this fundamentally broken. So yeah, if you're curious how you should be playing Elite vs. Freedom, you just pull out the Gatling gun, run headfirst into enemy fire, and use the Gatling gun on everything, and then when you die, you just do it again and keep doing that until you beat the level. That's how you should play Elite vs. Freedom. Because that's how it works best, when you play it mindlessly. But no, I have to be an aberration, I have to be special. So we're doing a no-death run of the game. At least until I do die, and then I'll start playing it mindlessly. But I'm fairly confident that I can do a no-death run of the game as long as I'm careful enough. Because the idea of this Let's Play is to demonstrate that the game is so broken that even if you do try to play it tactically as I'm doing here, it just doesn't work. The game just doesn't work on any level. Maybe it would work better in multiplayer, but considering I already demonstrated that purple electric beam that can clip straight through walls, I don't think people in multiplayer would enjoy the game very much either. Because everybody would just be camping around the choke points the whole match and doing nothing else but spamming that electrical beam. Or using the auto-aim sniper rifle, which would be hilarious. Maybe the multiplayer shouldn't have been dead because the game is so ridiculously, stupidly unbalanced. That would be great. I'd love to see people play a match of this with the sniper rifle. Anyway, one thing I feel I really should mention, because it's something I worry about not doing justice to in this game, is that the graphics are turned down as low as they can be. The game's environment actually looks quite good as it is, I think. But it looks even better if you have the graphics turned all the way up. I'm not being sarcastic either. I'm actually really proud of their environmental designer. I think he did a great job, and all of the locations look very varied and lifelike, you know? This could be a real place. And all of the locations are like this. They're all colorful and pleasant to look at, and they're fun to walk around in. You know, if this were just a walking simulator instead of a third-person shooter, I'd still enjoy it, because the environments look really nice, so props to their environmental designer. And again, I do have the graphics turned all the way down. So if it looks ugly to you, that's why. Not the character models, though. The character models are always ugly, even when the graphics are turned on full. I can't do anything about that. But the environment looks beautiful. I love it. Seriously, no complaints about the environmental design. Maybe it's not great third-person shooter level design, but as an environment for the player to walk around in, it looks great. I love it. Sorry, we were doing something, right? We were shooting badmins. I'm not sure we really need to talk about that, though. We can just keep talking about how beautiful the environment is, because seriously, it's gorgeous. I wish this were a walking simulator, then I could enjoy it more unironically. Anyway, here's the end of the level. We won. But even though we won, we have to wait for the cutscene to trigger. Takes a while for the cutscene to trigger, even after you win the level. This isn't a great game, not a lot of polish. The environmental designer should work on something better, though, because he has some talent.
Rio de Janeiro, the Pai Chau Beach Hotel, is the venue of the annual Re-Education Consortium. The meeting will start tomorrow morning. The unbelievable just happened. Several terrorists of the Freedom have crashed through the security barrier and activated a suitcase nuke. Their plan is to destroy the venue forever and to attract global attention. We will not be able to cover up this attack from the public. If the masses get to know about this terror group, it may cause even more civil unrest and disobedience against our regime. We have to stop them.